How you doing out there, folks? Yes, it's me again, the Invisible Man, versus Merrick Bankin, the robot, part 22. I did more than 22 of these videos. I was doing them before I started this, this Invisible Man gimmick. I was doing them. So recently I just started to put a song like in the beginning. I figured just to break it up. This way, if you wanted to listen to the song, you didn't have to listen to all the rest of the video. It's going to do it the other way around, put the video and then at the end put the song. I decided to do it this way, so I don't want anybody that might have already, pretty much know what I'm saying. It's all about harassing phone calls. I may go off on different tangents, but it all comes back to the same thing. These harassing phone calls. And Merrick Bank, because I know that they do that, that unethical practice of doing that. So, okay, I think I better put the song on now.
When you're young, you don't realize how tough life is unless you've had several tries. Because the world's at your feet. Every time you walk down the street. If your problems are getting you down, now's the time to stop messing around. If you're having trouble making ends meet, remember that the world's at your feet. No matter what color your face, we all belong to the human race. And every now and then you should reflect the things you might neglect, because the world's at your feet. Every time you walk down the street, the sky is blue and the grass is green. There's a lot you have to see. From morning till night, wonder what you're doing right. Because the world's at your feet every time you walk down the street. From coast to coast, everyone should make the most. If you don't think your job is the best, then you should make another test. Because the world's at your feet every time you walk down the street. The stars, moon, and the sun have been there since time begun. We should not complain about the wind and rain, because the world's at your feet every time you walk down the street. If your problems are getting you down, well, now's the time to stop messing around. And if you're having trouble making ends meet, remember.
Well, I think that should do it. That wasn't bad. Remember now, these are demos, It's from over 40 years ago. And I used different companies, I would send the lyrics out, but I found out that George Liberace, he did the best job. It seemed like their music and all, and they did the music pretty much based on the way I wrote the lyrics, They followed that beat, the way I rhymed everything. Yeah, this particular song, I don't know where I came up with the title. The world's at your feet. Every time you walk down the street, it had a nice, I liked the way it rhymed, And I was giving advice then, too. In that song, I was encouraging people that can't get a job, don't give up, But don't give your job up that you already have to get another job. As I mentioned in there, Make another test, But in effect, I'm saying, if you have a job, maybe you don't like it too much, try to stick with it. If you get something else, then make the change. The opportunity's there. That's what that means. The world's at your feet. And one of the lines, that I liked in that song that I put, no matter what color your face, we all belong to the human race. I like that line. I put it in there. So that song, again, I do mention in that song, if you're having trouble making ends meet. You know what that means. How is that in reference to what's going on here? Sure, if you're having trouble making ends meet, you're going to have trouble paying these bills, when you have a whole bunch of bills and you're having trouble, you're living from paycheck to paycheck, or you just lost your job and now you're having trouble paying the bills. So I kind of use that song to apply it here, at this time. I'll give a little more about the songs in the description, but right now I want to get back to this. With this Merrick Bank. It's not just Merrick Bank. A lot of banks do it. There's a list of banks that do the same kind of tactics, That's what they do. They're not the only ones. I'm not really singling them out. I'm only singling them out because they're the one. This bank is the one that was bothering me. Like they bother you and everybody else that has an account with them. Okay, so I think I'm going to go back to how we finally made the connection, with Merrick Bank. Marie and I have been together over 40 years. We combined our money. And I paid the bills. And we had trouble through the years for credit, We just had it. It's just one of those things, Actually, I was paying the bills now, this past, like for 8 years on time. But we still had too much credit. It was all used up. Our credit scores weren't bad, but they weren't getting that much better. I was trying to see if I could pay off some accounts. So I started to pay off a few, keep paying them, but don't use them, We weren't, I told Marie, can't be getting too much right now. She understood, I know she wanted to order some things. Okay, so let me go back how this connection with Merrick Bank. It was in 2018, just a typical day. We're not too enthusiastic. All I have on my mind is trying to pay these bills. But I didn't let Marie get bothered with it too much, Like I said, her lack of interest was an all-time low because nothing seemed to interest her. I did a lot of things trying to, make her get excited again like before, Didn't work. So I got the mail. I said, Marie, here's a letter for you. She says, okay. No enthusiastic, nothing. I was looking through the other mail. She opened up and looked at it, and I could see she was studying it like it was sinking in, She said, oh, Frankie. I said, what happened, Marie? She said, oh, Merrick Bank. I don't know who they are, but I don't care. I like them already. They want to give me $600. Credit. I said, oh, that sounds good, Marie. She said, well, you want to look this over? I don't understand what this double the credit line means. I looked it over. I read it carefully. It wasn't too much there, So I said, yeah, if you make 7 on-time payments, they'll give you another $600. She says, oh, wow, I want it. I got things I want to get. I said, I know, I understand. That's in your name. I would say, normally I would say, no, we got too much credit. I don't want to do it till I pay the credit down. But because it's in your name and all, it's up to you. I can't do that, because I saw how happy that it makes you. So she said, oh, yes, Frankie, yes. I want to get this, whatever we have to do. I said, okay, there is a deadline on there. They usually give you on an offer, you got to respond by a certain date. They do that because they want to make you make a decision. She said, oh, I want to do it right away before they change their mind. I said, okay, Marie. Now, I can do it by phone or by computer. She said, well, I don't want to do it by phone, and I can't really do it, because I could if it's an automated call. It might not be, and she doesn't want to do it. I said, well, you could talk to somebody Spanish and just give your information. She said, oh, I don't want to do it. I'm so afraid I'm going to do something wrong, and I don't want to ruin it. I said, okay, Marie, well, let's do it with the computer. I know you don't care for the computer too much, but, oh, yeah, but now you do. Oh, yeah, Frankie, yeah, let's do it on the computer. You don't care. Show me what to do, whatever it is. I'll do whatever you say, I said, okay, let's go over there. We went to the table, sat down, opened the computer. I set it up. I said, I punched in, Merrick Bank or whatever the code was. I said, there it is, Marie, look, the application. She said, oh, yeah. I said, you want to put it in? I don't know exactly how to do it. She said, but I can type. I said, with the keyboard? And I said, yeah, go ahead. But, you have to set it up. I told her, look, you know all the information. I know that. It's your information. Okay, I'm going to set it up now. When I put the cursor for the first name, then the last name, the address, the phone numbers, all the way down. And the checking account, whatever they need to have in there. You ready? She said, yep. I said, okay. I started. She started typing in. Every time I said it, I told her what she had to put in. She was careful. She didn't make no mistakes. I was surprised because I know a lot of times I'll do that and I'll skip something and it'll come back in red and it'll say it wasn't valid number or whatever. So everything was put in. It got down to authorized user. Oh, I know what to put in. I put your name. So I know that. I said because we shared all the accounts, all the MasterCard, Visas. Okay, that was done. Now, next there's a lot of writing. I said, Marie, can you read that? She says, it's kind of small. I said, I can read it. I read it over and I knew right away what it was. You got to check a box there. I told Marie that you have to check that box. And then, you agree to these terms. She said, what terms? I said, you got to give them permission to call you on the numbers that you put up there. And they're going to use an auto dialer, maybe a text message and all that. On the cell phone and all that. Do you agree to that? She said, well, yeah, I don't care if they call. They're not going to be calling anyway. I said, they could for some reason, They might. She said, okay, I don't care. I'll check it. But she said, what if I don't check it? Well, Marie, if you don't check it, they're probably not going to give you the card. He said, what? I said, that's the way it is, Okay, I don't care. Check it. And then she said, what else? I said, you go down there. It says submit. I let her do it because I want to make her feel like she's doing something, that way she's going to feel good. She worked the computer and everything, So that was done. It went in, and I said, I'm going to check the email. Because remember, whatever I used there, they got the email. So I checked, and there it was. Congratulations, you have been approved for the credit line offer, and you should receive your cards within 7 to 10 business days. See that, Marie? Look. What do you think? Oh, Frankie, I can't wait. So now get all the things ready that you want to order. She says, I already have some things written down. When she looks at the stories that she looks at, the Spanish stories that she looks every day, she sees things, It's like the Judge Judy in Spanish, she looks at that. And she was writing things down, The things she orders is not too expensive, Different things. Okay, I said, now I'm going to go over some things with you. Since that's in, now I don't have to mail nothing. Don't worry about it. It's in. And it does quicker on the computer than it would be if we mailed it. So be glad that we did it on the computer. Okay, don't give your personal information on the phone, because I know you haven't done this for a while. That means your name, your name, yeah. Social Security, date of birth, none of that. You don't have to give none of that information. And if any of these high-pressure salespeople try to sell you something, other than what you wanted, you just say, I don't want it. And if they keep insisting, you'll have to hang up and then call back again, But just don't give it, without any problems over that, because remember, you're given the credit card number, the expiration date, and the security code. If they get that number, then they have your other information. They could steal the identity and all. So be very careful with that. Oh, Frankie, I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to mess this up. I know you don't. Keep it in mind, I kept doing this. We kept going about our routine the next few days. Marie seemed happy thinking about it. She was looking at the orders she wanted to make. And she told me, I'm not going to order anything too much. Small items. I said, that's good to start with. And I'll transfer some accounts, to try to get some of the other bills down. Okay, so then about a week passed. There it is. I felt the mailer. There's 2 cards. It just has a post office box on it. It doesn't have, if it's from a bank or nothing. So I said, here you go, Marie. You know what this is? Oh, Frankie, I know. I can't wait. Well, you opened it up, and I saw the design. It really looked good on the cards. It was an eagle with a flag in the background. I really liked it. Okay, she said, Frankie, here's your card. And here's mine. I said, well, you got to activate it. So there's a number on there, on the mailer. It tells you to activate. So I said, I guess I'll have to do it, right? Yeah, Frankie, you better do it. I don't want to, mess it up. Okay. So I called it in, with the number they gave. And it was automated. And I punched in, I think, the last 4 digits of her Social Security. And then I think that was all. It really wasn't too much, I remember. Because it says, the cards are now activated based on the number you called in on. So I said, okay, and that was it. I told Marie, now sign the back of the card, and I'll sign it. She says, what happens? I'm not going to use it outside. I said, yeah, I know that. But if someone would have got the card and it's not signed, they could sign your name, and then if they showed the card, and then they could write the signature, you know. You got to think that way with all that, because, you know, nowadays there's so much of that identity theft and all. Because somebody could have get that card, and she didn't sign it. They could sign her name the way they write, and they could go to one of these studios and get a photo ID, you know, with her name on it. You know, some woman could do that. And they could use that card. I wouldn't even know it. What happened until I see it on the bill. So I said, okay, Marie, signed it. I signed mine. If you know, to order anything, just make sure you write down. Let me know so I can keep track. We're just starting out with this now. Okay, so she right away wanted to order something. You know, she ordered, and the thing she ordered wasn't bad. They weren't that expensive. You know, I know she was ordering it for things like, the one thing that really stands out was this, like it's a device. It's not too big. It's got a strap on it. It's by electric, not battery, electric. It's got the same plug like it's on the computer, that small plug. So she plugged it in, she got it, and she couldn't wait. She put it on her arm because she had pain. You can adjust it for the pain level, but it says you're not supposed to wear that too much, you know, only certain times, you know. It seemed to help her. I said, well, you ordered something really good, Marie, and it wasn't that much, and that's one of the main items, you know. As I said, I told her, make sure that you're careful with that, because, you know, I don't want to be having to worry about changing something back, because it gets a lot of problems. And she knows not to make any, you know, well, that case, that was only one payment. You know, that one. But other things, I said, don't be, like, say you got some kind of medicine, something, you got to order it every month, diet pills or something. You don't want that bill going in every month, because that's going to use up the credit, but they don't want to stop it once they start it, you know. Just do one-time payment. You can always order it again. So everything was all right. She understood it. She ordered. I paid everything, and I transferred, you know, some of the accounts that I had. We had other accounts. You can't pay a MasterCard Visa with a MasterCard Visa. It doesn't want. I don't think they'll okay it. But you can pay those catalog cards. You know, we had a lot of them. I start paying them, you know, every month. You have 3 or 4 of them, you know, just to get. You know, they were going down, you know. But at least see, there was no balance transfer with this card. You know, this double the credit line, no balance transfer, and there's a membership fee, a late fee, all the things on that. You know, that didn't have any frills. You know, the main thing was that they gave you that credit line. So everything was going good. For a few months, then I told Marie, you know, this is the day. They got the payment now. It's double the credit line. They put it in right away. I said, oh, Frankie. Another 600? Yep. I said, that way you could still order some more things. It's all right, and I'll keep track. I just don't want to, you know, ruin that account, because you got to want to keep paying it, of course. So everything was going good for a few months there. All of a sudden, Marie started getting sick. I said, oh, no. You know, she was a lot better. I know it was because of that credit card. It really made her feel good, but it was only temporary, you know. Because she had that general anxiety disorder. It's a mental disorder, you know. She's not too. That's what that lack of interest was and all. And it develops into other things later, other mental conditions. So she started to feel sick and weak and tired, and couldn't sleep with the pain, a whole bunch of things. And she had respiratory distress and all. So, you know, we went to the doctors every month. We had medicine. She got some inhaler, that helped. Then some antibiotics, and then we went again, and still wasn't getting better. It's just about the same. So see, a doctor can only do so much when you go to the office. He can recommend things and try to give you something. But I said, you don't have to go to the hospital, Marie. Don't worry. I can get you there and all. That's no problem. And I'll be there. He said, okay, Frankie, I have to go. You know, I said, yeah, you have to. Can't let it go, you know. So got her in the hospital and examined her. Well, it took a lot of tests. It took a few days. Finally, they talked to the doctors, and they told me, Frank, she's got dementia, onset of Alzheimer's. She's got the respiratory distress, anemia, low blood pressure. So, she's been taking pills for a lot of that stuff, but you know, in the aging process, you know, it gets worse. You know, She said she needs to be in a nursing home for long-term care. So I said, okay. I don't know. The doctor told me there's plenty around where you live, in that area. So I tried to find the closest one. It's like about a mile. Since I don't drive and all, I was able to walk it, and walk it back. So I got in there first. She's disoriented, but, she was getting used to it because I was there, me being with her as much as I could. And I could go there, bring her some things to try to cheer her up. So she started to get better, really. It was amazing. She had some therapy and, with that 24/7 care. And, yeah, she really improved. By the 4th month, she wasn't coughing or nothing. Looked better and everything. Talked better. She even asked me, "Oh, Frankie, by the way, are you still paying Merrick Bank? I don't want to mess up my credit." "Oh, don't worry, Marie. I'm going to keep paying it with all the bills. No worries. Everything's all right. You want anything, let me know, because you can't get it now, like before." Amazing with her mental state that she still remembered. That's why I say with this Merrick Bank, it has such a sentimental value with me. You can see what I'm saying here, with her. Because it was one of the last things we had, going together, with that card. So she started in the next month. I noticed a little bit more coughing, a little bit more congestion. I could hear it, It's staying about the same. And I talk to these people, but they keep saying, "No, don't worry, we're giving her all our medicines and all." And the doctor's checking her and the nurse if they notice they can increase the medicine or decrease whatever. I said, okay. Towards the end of the month, I noticed it was, she was eating and all, because I'm going there, for breakfast and lunch. So when I went there Thursday, a Saturday, and a Monday. And she was about the same. That was kind of close together. But I noticed she was a little bit more, not quite as excited like she was. And she was eating, and the last day I saw her up, went into the dining room there, talked with her, and I brought her some food, and she ate her food, and I brought food, and I had lunch with her and all. At least I had a nice day with her, and with her lunch. And then I got her back to her room, and I said, "I have to go. I have a long way to go, and I got things to do. I'm going to come back as soon as I can." "Okay, Frankie." She seemed all right, but not that enthusiastic. I just hope she didn't give up, So where there's life, there's hope, but I hope that she didn't give up there, Not seeing me. I try to go as much as I could. Because she always recognized me, no matter what. Okay, so I come back a few days later. She's in the bed, because usually she's up, sitting up and all. This was around lunchtime, and I asked the roommate. The roommate said, "No. She hasn't been eating the last couple of days. They come there, and all she wants to do is sleep." I said they check her, and they try to clean her. But that's it. She's just laying there like that and sleeping. I said, "Let me check." And she's like in a stupor, in and out of consciousness, That could have brought on from anything, with the mental state that she has. And I know they're checking, but, I don't, because I know that place is understaffed. And when I go on Saturdays, hardly anybody there. It's like different from the weekdays. That's why I was going on the weekend, because of that. Okay, so I tried to, when the food came for lunch, the lady put it there, said, "Can you help me get her up?" And I got her up. And she started to move around a little bit, and she couldn't open her eyes. I don't know what, because she's too knocked out. So I tried to give her some of the food. First, she was on a puree diet, and then a mesh diet. So all the food was so I tried to give her some of it. Little bit, very little. She swallowed it. She was able to swallow. And some water to wash it down, but she started drifting off. So I said, well, let me let her go back and sleep. At least she wasn't in any pain. She wasn't coughing. Nothing. No congestion. I guess that's what threw me off a lot. I did tell the people, there that, that she needed more attention, that we can't do anything. She's resting. We're not going to bother her. She's peaceful like that, quiet. I said, all right. And then before I left, I tried to see if I could, well, if I could have got her up and revived her a little bit, where she would talk or, I would have been happier, but of course it wasn't that way. I tried to shake her, no, nothing. And then finally I massaged her feet, and she said, "Stop that, Frankie." I said, "Okay, Marie, I better go. I'll leave you rest, So she knew I was there, but when I went home, I wasn't feeling too good. I didn't like seeing her like that, The phone rings around 3 o'clock in the morning. I knew right away. I was hoping that they would just tell me that she was unresponsive and we got her back in the hospital. I would have felt a little bit better. No, the lady, the nurse, she said she came on duty and she was doing the bed check and she found Marie unresponsive, so she right away, they started to try to revive her and call the 911, but it was too late. She passed away. Now I'm all alone from all that, and I, took care of the arrangements there, whatever I could do, Everything stopped for me. The world just like ended for me when that happened. Now I have half as much money to use to live, to get by with all the bills and all. So finally I started to contact all these creditors and all and told them what happened. They didn't want to listen. I sent cease and desist letters. It didn't work. Because they're not debt collectors, they're creditors, and they don't have to honor it. They did and then they didn't. So I said, well, let me look up one of the banks. I looked it up on the computer, and and this lawyer pops up. I said, I guess I'm going to have to try to get some help here, And I punched in, the information, and he calls me right back. I said, oh, wow. He said, oh, I can help you, Frank. He said, I'm so sorry for your loss. Because I told him when I was writing that up. Don't worry, I can help you, and let me know everything. Because I told him the banks and all. He said, well, that's what we'll do. I'll put them all under like one contract with me, and I'll send it to you, and you can sign it when you get a chance. And if you have a phone logs, I said, yeah, I have all that. He said, send it all to me when you on an email, and I'll start working on it. Boy, did he make me feel so good then. I felt a lot better, that stuff's being worked on. Because the calls was coming in and all then, from these different ones. But I was still paying Merrick Bank. Because I was paying him because I could still transfer some of those catalog cards, because he doesn't really do those. He mostly just does the MasterCard Visas and maybe debt collectors. So I figured I had so much there, so many accounts. So I went ahead and, he started working on it, and all the calls stopped. And I said, okay, and I kept paying Merrick Bank and all. He made some settlements. And also, it wasn't too bad right then. I'm still, grief-stricken. I'm still so alone, So, kept paying the Merrick Bank, like I said. And finally, I just couldn't pay anymore. I mean, I paid for a few months. So I'm just going to have to let it go. So I did. Nothing happened the first month. I thought maybe it'll slip through the cracks, but wishful thinking, Okay, so I saw the statement. It shows a late fee. I said, oh boy, $39. Now that put it over the limit too, so. And what do you think happened? The phone rings. Right on the caller ID, Merrick Bank, so I didn't have to figure out who it was, right? I called on the landline and the cell phone. Remember the numbers? Yeah, so I wrote it down, start keeping track. I wait a couple weeks. I want to see if it's going to stop or what. So I contacted the lawyer. But see, when you have a lawyer, it's nice to have a lawyer like that. Have a problem like that, at least I already had. And I just happened he answered when I called, and he said, Frank, I'll take care of them. I deal with Merrick Bank a lot of accounts, and I know they use those unethical tactics. And I want to, I'm going to help you. Don't worry. I just need this information, about the calls. He gave me another contract. It says on there that he doesn't charge any fee for his services, and you don't have to give him a percentage of any money he might get. I said, it's a good deal. I really appreciated that. So, let's see, I had 19 calls on the cell phone and 43 on the landline. That's only in 2 weeks. That was over 60 calls, Imagine if I let that go. Yeah, and the call stopped. First, the cell phone stopped, and a couple of days later, the landline had stopped. So, everything was all right. He's working on it. He's got the litigation in. He put that in right away, He's got there for the calls that they made. He even put down some of the calls as an example, with the times. He's put that in the litigation. Then he put that they're calling me about an account that's not in my name. It's in Marie's name. So he put that down, and he put down about some other things about, a jury trial at the end. And I'm the plaintiff and all that. So everything he was working on, so I figured, at least I got rid of that and the call stopped, right? Month and a half later, Here we go with the calls. Right away, the 2nd of January 2020, here's the calls every day. Every day. On the landline now, not the cell phone. And I couldn't figure why. Why are they doing that? It's a litigation and it's about the phone calls. And they're still doing it. But they didn't do it, like I said, on the cell phone. Because that's more of a violation, the cell phone. Using that auto dialer, that's more of a violation. But they're harassing phone calls. What makes them harassing phone calls? If they're annoying, they're harassing phone calls. Just tell me they're not trying to annoy you. 4 times a day? In November 2018, they called 7 times in one day. Now, you know that's too much. I think a couple, and plus they're not leaving a message either. On the answer machine, they don't leave a message. Because I have it set so they can't keep ringing. So it picks it up, and then they hang up or whatever, and dial the next number. And I picked it up when it rang. When I saw Merrick Bank on the caller ID, I would pick it up. Nobody's there. It's like dead air, and then sometimes it would be a busy signal. Because I guess as soon as they disconnected it, to make another call, the robot. So that went on. I let that go for a couple of weeks. And I kept track of it. That's what I say. It's very important to have a phone log. For these calls, you're going to have the date, the time, the day, the number they used, and all. It's important, especially if it's Merrick Bank. Because they're using 6 different numbers. But not in other words, if they call me 4 times in one day, they're not using 4 different numbers. It's the same number for that day, and then the next day, another number, and then when they get to the 6th, they start it over again. They didn't call on Sunday. I see, this is where the problem I have with it, why I'm so ticked off. I mean, they did call on Sunday, in November of 2019. Yeah, they called on Sunday. Not this time. No Sunday. What is that? That's not harassment? Call you 4 times on a Saturday. Sunday, no calls. Wow, what a relief, huh? They make you feel the relief, and then Monday, no calls, and they wait till Monday afternoon and evening and then call you 4 times. Now, you can't tell me that that's not harassment. And if I wasn't harassed so much by them, you think I'd be doing this? I'm doing this because of that. I'm so upset over that. It got me so ticked off, They're doing that. They stopped and all. Like they're supposed to when you have an attorney. They're supposed to. That's the purpose of getting the attorney. Give you a chance to work on your things that you're doing. So, okay, this went on again. I contacted the lawyer on it because he had the case pending already. It's in there. He seemed, I guess it didn't surprise him when I told him, because I guess he knows the tactics they use, and he's been dealing with this bank for a while, so, for different accounts. Okay, so he said he'll reach out to them. I sent him an email, and he answered me, I'll reach out to them. And then I think it was about a week, and it still didn't stop. I was surprised because he stopped it before. Then I sent him another email, and he said, Frank, well, we're going to make them stop. I guess with that litigation pending, but then he also said he contacts them every 2 weeks. So if he's contacting them every 2 weeks, now they can't say I don't have a lawyer, because there's litigation in. So if they're calling me, I thought it was to retaliate against me because I have the case pending, Maybe they figure maybe since he put it in, I don't know if they knew Marie passed away or not, but I don't think it really makes a difference when they make those calls, because they don't know who's getting those calls. They're intended for the cardholder, but anybody could be getting those calls because they don't know. They're not leaving a message. There's no human dialing those calls. So I start figuring this out, I'm trying to say, how come it's a month and a half? So I went and looked at the cardholder agreement. I read it in one of the videos I did. I went over. I couldn't read the print. It came when we got the cards. I can't even read this. My eyes aren't that bad, but I took a magnifying glass. It's over like 25 different different headings. It was like 6 pages, both sides, and it has 4 columns on each page. So man, the section about the calling, it wasn't really that long, but when you write it out, I wrote it out so I could read it, And it says about, if you get an attorney, that they got to contact them within 45 days. Either they contact them or you, and if they don't get a response, they'll assume that you don't have an attorney. And I guess this is what they did here. Now, if you contact them every 2 weeks, that's less than 45 days. But I start figuring from when they stopped the call, say it was the 18th of November. You know, when he put the litigation or when they stopped the calls. Okay, there's 30 days in November. You add 12 days to 18, right? And then you have 31 days plus the 12, that's 43. You know, December there's 31 days, so that's 43. January 1st is 44, and January 2nd is 45, and that's when they started the calls. Now I figured it out what happened. He knew about it, but he doesn't bother him. You know, he's got to try to work with him. They must have some disconnect there, because I know he's in California. And the office or the lawyers there, he contacted her in California. They have the legal team there, I guess. So they counted, but evidently when he contacted them, they was able to stop the calls, you know, through the litigation. So maybe somewhere when the call stopped and the fact it was still late, maybe with the system they have set up, it might have triggered it after 45 days. But there's something wrong there with that 45-day rule that they made up. So those agreements, they're made up, I'm sure, by a company may make them up. It's the way they're worded. Oh, it's their sole discretion, you know. And they're saying that you're allowing them to call you. It says it in the agreement. You're giving them permission to call you on the cell phone, and you have to say that they're not going to liable for, you're not going to hold them liable to annoying you or whatever they say in there. You know, the wording they use or invade your privacy and all that. That you can't hold them accountable. They're putting that in so many words in that cardholder agreement. I'm going to go over it again. But that doesn't apply anyway. Because I think the law says they are allowed to call you. Yeah. From 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's a lot, 13 hours. Now, I just heard something on the news about that President Trump is trying to do some kind of a law to favor the debt collector and the creditors. That's, you know, that's going to affect us. But so far, the consumer advocates are fighting it, and you know, it hasn't gone through. He hasn't signed it. Now, leave it the way it is, because it's bad enough as it is. I hope he doesn't, you know, because they're already doing, you know, all the tactics that they do. They don't need to give them any more, take some of our rights away from us, you know. Well, back to all these calls again, you know. It's harassing, you know. And in this case, you know, now one person called me on all those calls. In November 2019, I got over 60 calls. And in January of 2020, now I got over 80 calls. And that's in a really short period of time. Remember that. And they didn't even call on Sunday in January of 2020. So I started all this, you know. I wasn't doing none of these videos or nothing about harassing phone calls. I wasn't doing that. Once those calls stopped in November of 2019, that was it. Just waiting to see what happens with the litigation, you know. But when they started in January again, that really ticked me off. That's why I've been doing these videos. I'm trying to let everybody know you don't have to put up with it. And if you do have an account with Merrick Bank, you better watch out. If you're in good standing with them, keep paying. But if you're not, and they start calling you, you can contact this lawyer that I have. He's a consumer advocate attorney. His name is Paul Mankin. MANKIN. And he's got a toll-free number, 800-219-3577. That's 800-219-3577. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. I've been pretty much endorsing him and, you know, doing these testimonials all the time because I appreciate so much the way he's helped me, and he's still helping me. So, again, I'm going to tell you, he's a consumer advocate attorney. I mean, he's for us, you know, and he deals with certain banks more than others. The ones that are unethical, they're the ones that he's going after. He wants to make them accountable. Okay, so let's put it this way. He doesn't charge for services or a free consultation, and you're under no obligation. You know, if you decide you don't want him to take your case, or it's all right. But I think you better be glad if he take your case. I mean, it doesn't have to be Merrick Bank. It could be any bank that's doing this. There's a lot of banks that do it with these calls. Well, you can just give them a call. You don't have to worry about paying them. That's for sure. The banks have to pay him, and the court costs, depending. Now, if the case is thrown out or whatever happens, he's not going to get paid. But you don't still have to pay him, so I wouldn't worry about that. Okay, so say you are right now, happen to be listening to this video, and you are getting harassing phone calls. If it's bothering you or annoying you, then it's harassing phone calls. That's how you know. You'll really know because of how many times they're calling you and how close together. Those are close together because there's no reason to call you more than once. They call you at 5:30, then again at 5:45, 6:10, maybe 7:35, something like that. That's too many calls in that period of time when they have 13 hours to call you. And they're not leaving a message. Of course not, they're not going to leave a message. If they leave a message, then they're going to have to wait for you to answer. They wouldn't keep calling and leaving a message because they would say they already left a message. They have this set up like this, and it's for their tactics, they want to use. And they think it's so great. Well, I don't think so. I wouldn't be this upset over it. Are they in the business of getting their customers upset? I mean, if you're a good customer, you pay your bill, and something happens, you can't. Don't you think they should want to know how? Why? All they had to do was, when it gets late and they charge a late fee, they could trigger that to print out a sheet or something and have one of these customer care representatives call you. Try to call, then leave a message, and you say in a week or so you don't answer, then maybe trigger those calls. But if they found out, I would have answered. If they would have left a message, I would have answered, because that had happened before. I would have answered. I would have told them what happened. He passed away. I kept trying to pay the bill, and I couldn't pay. And we're not legally married. And I'm not. They know I'm not a joint card holder, and I'm not a cosigner, and we don't have an estate. Neither one of us. So if they knew that, I know right away they're going to ask for the death certificate. I know that. And with having an attorney and all, I would tell them I have an attorney besides, but see, there wouldn't have been no litigation then at that point. That would have been before I got the attorney. They would have done that. They could have avoided the litigation. I wouldn't have got all these calls. And then, plus, I wouldn't be doing all these videos either. But I'm like a consumer advocate myself, because I've been advocating this with these calls, This harassment, I don't like it. I never did. I had years of being harassed for bills and stuff, Things happen, Because, let's see, I had a lot of credit cards, and Marie did too. There's a point I couldn't pay. We both were getting too much. I'm talking over 20 years ago. And where we were living at, they wanted to, sell the building. We had to get out, and we were there over 22 years. Of course, we wouldn't need a time to get out. They give you 30 days. So I got a lawyer for that, but it was a lawyer that I knew, but it wasn't for free either. I had to pay him, So what happened was, I went bankrupt, and then Marie went bankrupt. So we were on automatic stay. So the landlord couldn't throw us out, and we didn't have to pay either. Then, back in the day. So that money went towards the lawyer. It went to another place, so we was able to get another place and do that. And all the bills got wiped out. That was over 20 years ago. So the bankruptcy, I know, does that. But it's on your credit report, I think, for 10 years. I didn't like it, but that's all passed. After that, then I started, it was a little bit, this is about 8 years now that I've been, paying our bills on time. Now that's done. Because since Marie passed away and all those accounts, they're all gone now. I didn't have to go bankrupt. Because it doesn't matter on Marie's account. Because she's not here now anymore. My account, well, all the bills that the last few months that's in my name, not this one from Merrick Bank. That's already uncollectible. But all the bills that I didn't pay, that the lawyer stopped them from calling, made settlements or whatever. So in less than 4 years, because that's the statute of limitations in Pennsylvania, I'll be legally forgiven on all those bills. See, because once you stop paying, they count from the last payment. That's why if you weren't paying for a while, you don't want to start the clock running again. So, see, these are the things you got to be careful with. Find out what the statute of limitations in your state is. It's going to vary from state to state. Once you know that, then you can work on it. See what you want to do. It's from the last payment that you made. So you don't want to say, okay, a couple of months pass, you start paying again. Then you stop, you can't pay. Now you just lost some months there towards, the statute of limitations. But that's what these debt collectors do. They don't care. I call them scavenger debt collectors. What do? They get all the bills they buy from creditors. They buy bundles and pay pennies on the dollar. They go through court records, wherever they can find bills that are written off, or the statute of limitations is out, or a bankruptcy, or whatever. All those bills are not supposed to be collected like that. And they're all zombie debts. That's what the term is, because they're putting life back into them. They're all done, uncollected, whatever you want to call it, and they're right away trying to collect them, like as if you owe them the money. You do not owe these debt collectors the money. They did not give you that credit. A lot of times they say, if they see it was Merrick Bank, they might say, well, their client, Merrick Bank. Merrick Bank has wrote it off already. I'm just saying. They use all that, and they can make a deal. I got to check with our client, and they'll if you don't do this right now, maybe in the next couple weeks, we'll withdraw the offer. Like, half of whatever you owe, half, they're going to get all that money. So it's not to make a deal with a debt collector, because you're only going to probably be sorry later. Because, again, they're supposed to update your records. Remember, what's on the credit report stays on for 7 years, maybe longer. Be very careful with these debt collectors. It's very important, If you want to be able to start all over again, you don't want to be owing these debt collectors. They have all kind of programs to do it, Not too long ago, I think it was about a few years ago, some of the debts I had, they're old. I know they were already past the statute of limitations. I get this offer from a debt collector. I think it was, I'll just say $500. We're willing to give you a credit card with the $500. You can just start paying on it every month, like whatever the minimum payment is. And we'll give you another $100 that you can use. So sounds like a good deal. You figure, oh, well, they'll be using it, and then I would owe $600. And if I did pay it off, I still could have the $600, because I asked that question. I called up. I said, okay, what happens if, it was $500 that I owed from before, and then you gave me $100, so that's $600, and I used up, I can use the $100. But what if I end up paying off the $600? Let's say you'll have $600 credit with us. I said, okay, I just want to make sure, but I didn't do the deal. Because that's just like, it's no good, Because now you took a debt that could have been uncollectible, it could have been written off or whatever, or discarded, and now you started a clock running on it again. Now you're owing them the money. And now they could go after you for it. They could call you and do everything now. So just be careful with the debt collectors. All this is going to, comes down to these harassing phone calls. Because they do the same thing, the debt collectors. They might do it different, But nobody's calling lately. I noticed with all the calls that I got, in 2019 from all those other accounts, they're doing the same thing. They're not leaving a message. I know they have different programs, different software, I guess as you might call it. So the best thing you do, if you're having any problems like this, contact a lawyer. Now, I'm giving you a good attorney that I know for sure. And he's an advocate for us, the consumer. And that's what he does, and he's been in business quite a while. And he has a lot of lawyers in the office with him, well, secretaries and everything, you know. But he's handling my case, I know personally, the one, because it's Merrick Bank, and that one is more involved, that he wants to, you know, make sure he handles it. But he has other lawyers in the office to work on other cases. Like right now, I had contacted him, and another lawyer was there, and I talked to him. He said, Frank, your case is, you know, Paul is working on your case. Personally, don't worry. And I'm working on other cases to help him out. And then I talked to the secretary, and I asked her, she says, oh yeah, we've been getting more calls lately. I said, I guess all that on social media must be working. She said, well, it must be, because we are getting more calls. So I figured then what I'm doing here now was at least it's worth it, you know. That's what I want to do. I'm more concerned about this attorney that I have, that I can, you know, I can promote him, endorse him, give testimonials and all, you know, from appreciation for the work he's done, you know, for me. That's one of the main things with these videos. Also, you know, about Merrick Bank, because I don't think they care what I say. It's not going to put them out of business. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to make people who are being harassed by them, that Merrick Bank could be held accountable. And the only way is every time this happens, you get the lawyer, you go after them, and make them accountable. Because if they have to settle a case, then we're made accountable for that case. I think they need to change this whole thing. If they get too many people calling in, you know, like from this lawyer, you know, to do a litigation against them, maybe they'll start thinking, maybe this is not such a good idea after all those calling. But I think the way it's been set up, because from what I understand over the years, that very few people actually go after them. So they notice that, so they'll pay whatever they have to pay, and then it's just the cost of doing business. So then they just keep it the way it is. I don't think it's going to change too much. But the only thing, the difference is, I think the more people, because they got accounts all over. They have almost 1 million customers, I think. And you got to remember, all the other banks that do the same thing, they got customers. And all these debt collectors that, you know, that go after us also. This lawyer, he goes after them too, you know, if you're getting those calls. It's those calls, you know. Comes down to it. You know, I could see, in my case, I have a lot of experience with it, because it's happened to me a lot, different times. Oh, I remember years ago, before these laws came in the 90s, oh, I used to get calls all the time, you know. I mean, I'd be behind too, you know. It happens when you don't, you know, not making too much money, and or you lose your job or something happens. I was with Marie when I opened in the morning, and the phone rang. It was like around 7:30. I pick it up. I'm saying, I thought maybe it was my boss or something, you know. Oh no, it's one of these banks. And I said, you know, it's Frank Leeper. I said, yeah. Why? It's a woman. She said, well, do you think you're going to pay your bill you owe? I said, well, I can't pay it right now. Well, you owe it. You better pay it, or we're going to come after you. We're going to keep bothering you. I said, well, you know, I can't pay. You can bother me all you want, but I can't pay. Who do you think you are? Do I owe you the money? Oh, no, I just work here. I said, well, I can't pay, all right? And I hung up. It happened a few times, 7:30 in the morning. That's why the law says 8 a.m. Can't call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. A lot of them, I used to get calls. They call it 8:05 a.m. or 8:58 p.m. You know, they wait to the latest that they could call, or the earliest, just to bother you. So these are why you need a phone log. It's very important, because how are you going to know? If you call a lawyer up and you say, this bank is bothering me and they keep calling me, he's going to, you know, if he knows the bank, he won't doubt it. But you're still going to need those calls. You know, it's very important. You know, that if you didn't do it, and you still look at your caller ID, you still could recreate it, but start right away. Don't call a lawyer. If you're still getting the calls, wait a week or so, and write the calls down that you're getting. Use one page for cell phone, and another page for the landline. It's very important that you have that. Because I just wonder how many cases through the years, you know, harassing phone calls, I wonder how many slipped through the cracks where they just didn't do nothing. They put up with it, changed their phone number, whatever happened, you know. and then it was written off and whatever. Where they could have stopped the calls, and they could have maybe even got some money in the settlement. Who knows? But that's how they get away with it, because a lot of people don't know. They think if you owe them that money, they got a power over you, you know, like, and you figure, oh, I can't get a lawyer, you know, and everybody knows lawyers cost so much. It'll be more than what I owe them, so I'm just going to have to put up with it, you know. Wait till it goes to collection and all that and whatever, but you don't need to do that. So, who's ever viewing this, keep in mind that if you're getting harassed by a debt collector or a Merrick bank or any bank, you don't have to put up with it. I give you the number again. It's Consumer Advocate Attorney, Paul Mankin. Toll-free number, 219 what's up? Sorry. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let me do it again. 800-219-3577. 800-219-3577. All his information is going to be in the description anyway. I usually put a lot of stuff I try to cover that I might have missed, you know, in these videos, but I pretty much covered everything now in the videos. Okay, about this phone log one more time. In the case with Merrick Bank, I'm sure that this is the pattern they use. They're using 6 numbers, and they use the same number. If they call me 4 times a day, they're using the same number. I realize that, because in the phone log, that would be 4 lines. But I thought about it. So what I did was, it's the same number, and the same date, and the same day, so I wrote the date, the day, the number, and a comment. 1 line. Then on the next line, I just put the calls. You can fit about 6 calls on 1 line. If you can't, you might have to use another line, but... So I would have 2 lines now. And then I could skip it, and then 2. So I'm going from 4 lines to 2. And you can still see it even better, because when you look at the calls, you know, on that line, they're right across from one another. So you can see that. You know, the sequence, how close together. That's why it's so important to have the phone log, because that's going to help you prove about the harassing phone calls, because the way they called you, it's not necessarily, they could call you 4 times, or they could call you 6 times. They could call you 3 times, but it's just when they call, how close together and all. See, it shows all that. And you have it by day, and like Sunday, I wasn't getting any calls in January on Sunday, but they still called 4 times all the other days. I still ended up with over 80 calls in January, and that's too much if you figure it out. If I let it go, and it keeps going and going and going, they have to pay for them calls. Because I think with the landline, maybe not, because they're allowed to call on the landline, even if you didn't give them permission, because they put their name, they're supposed to, and they put their phone number. And all the phone numbers they put, they all go back to the call center. So I think that's important they remember that. I know it can be, as I do phone logs, because I already have 2 books here that I use. I've been using them for years, the same copybook. And I just write everything in there. Lately I haven't been writing any calls down because there hasn't been any. If I get a call, sometimes I might write it down. So then I could look, you know, if I needed to get the number from the, you know, wanted to look up somebody's number, I would have it. So when I was doing that, when I was getting all the calls, it was a problem, because I have 4 or 5 banks there, and they're in the you know, that call log I have. And I noticed it's all mixed together, so if I had to get all the calls for one bank, it'd be harder. So make sure if you have more than one bank, you have a sheet for each bank. And the same with the cell phone and the landline. It's good to show that. Because when I compared everything from November of 2019, I noticed I went back over it, and I was made a phone log up, I redid it, you know, but using the 2 lines that I said, and I noticed there was 2 calls on one day, and there was 5 on the same day. That was like 7 calls on one day. Imagine on both phones. I didn't even realize that at the time. That's why it's so important. You know, I emphasize it a lot about the phone log. I hope all this information, you know, will help somebody out there. You know, I keep doing this because I just want to make the point, you know, about these harassing phone calls. That's why I'm saying I added that video in the beginning. I just did that because, see, I've been putting all my projects on hold, really, because all I've been doing is these videos about the harassing phone calls. Now I decided, well, I can throw in, one of my songs there in the beginning, just to break up the monotony of it, since I haven't been doing that. See how that is. And I hopefully that somebody, this is the 22nd video with this invisible man gimmick. I didn't realize that, every day I do one, or sometimes I do more than one, and then I won't put out more than one a day. I sometimes do them ahead of time, and then I'll put it on YouTube, but I won't put it on Twitter. I'll just try to keep it from too much at one time. One a day is a lot right now. So I'll keep doing this for a while. If there's any changes, with this litigation, either way, because I just want to get this litigation resolved, because I don't want to really hear much more about Merrick Bank. Because I had enough of it when they did that. It had to be that last account that we had together, me and Marie. Had to be, She liked it so much, It made her so happy, That's why I'm more upset, the disrespect from that bank, because they don't care about that. Because in January, I was really getting ticked off. All them numbers and all, even though I had the lawyer and all. I said, let me give a call. I just want to see what they got to say, So I picked one of the numbers, that they were calling me on. They're all the same. They all go to the call center. So a robot answers, I guess, if you might call it, and a recording. Your call is being recorded for quality assurance, and the next agent will be with you shortly. Now, so that means if I don't want to record it, I guess I just hang up. So right away, somebody answered, some lady, no interest or nothing. And she said, can I help you? And she said, I need the account number, whatever she wanted, the last 4 digits of the primary card holder's Social Security. She brought it up. He says, who are you? I said, I'm the authorized user. I gave my name. I said, I'm calling to tell you that the card member is deceased. She passed away, but I was trying to pay the bill and I couldn't pay anymore. I start getting a lot of calls. He said, well, it's not on here. I said, well, there's litigation in. I have a litigation. I have a lawyer. Oh, wait, she puts me on hold. She right away puts me on hold. Some music that they play, awful music. I almost started to hang up, but she came back pretty quick. No, we're going to need a death certificate. I said, well, I have it. You could email it or mail it or whatever she said. I said, well, I'm not doing it. I got to check with my lawyer, because there is a case pending, with Merrick Bank. I said to her, she said, anything else? I said, yeah, there is something else. You didn't give me any condolences. You didn't say you're sorry for my loss. Well, you're sorry for Merrick Bank's loss, huh? Oh, no, Merrick Bank don't care about the money. Don't you think that's bad when somebody had just lost a loved one and they treat you like that, so cold and all? Anything else? I said no, and that was it. So if you happen to call up the bank, try to do it yourself, before you check with an attorney. You can tell them that you're going to get an attorney, or tell them you don't want to do business over the phone. You want to do it by mail. If I was you, I would record that. Like, the way I'm recording this, that's how I did it. Have the phone right there, put it on your computer, and record it. That way you'll have it, and that you can't say that you didn't tell them, because if they still keep calling you, that's a violation after you told them. I think the best thing to do is get the attorney. I gave you his name and all, and phone number. Get him. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So keep all that in mind. I think that's it for now. I think I covered enough. I have other videos out there, plenty of them. You'll see them on Twitter. I mean, they're on there. They're pretty close together. But on YouTube, if you punch in my name, Frank Leeper, Leeper, a whole bunch of stuff is going to come up. They mix it all together. If you punch in harassing phone calls, they're going to come up too, all these videos I've been doing. So you could check if you want, no harm if you have a chance. But in the meantime, I'll see you, I'll keep you posted what's going on. And I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you learned something from it. And have a great day.